Hello, friends and followers. Welcome back to TJ's Modeling Bench. It has been a hot one down here the last few days, let me tell you. And I've been busy with life stuff, so I haven't done as much work up here in the shop lately. But I'm getting close, getting real close to the end of my Street Machine group build, the 69 Chevelle. It's all those little bitty details that take so much time. But if you don't do it, you know, it just doesn't look complete without those little things being done. So let me show you where we're at, and I'll come back at the end and show you something else I got recently too. So I'm trying to get all the little details wrapped up now. This is our washer fluid reservoir. Right now it's got a coat of white paint on it. Then I will mask off for the fluid level, and we'll spray that with probably a light blue or maybe even a clear blue. But then I'll go over it again once that blue has dried with a very diluted mix of white, and then lightly mist that on over the color of our fluid to give it the appearance that it's inside a white plastic container and it's showing through. What else are we working on? I still got to wire our engine, and you can see I did do the engine block in our body color, so a little custom work there. Little wiring maybe on the alternator. What else? Got to add the fan. Our whole front end and rear suspension pieces are not yet installed. Here's our coil. And then for the interior, here's our rear view. I haven't cut that tab off yet, but that's the rear view mirror. And that's done with my that's done with my technique of using... No, I take that back. I think that is actually bare metal foil. The side view mirrors, which I think I might redo, these are done with my technique of using that solar film for windows, the mirror finish. But I don't like the way it laid down in the recess of that mirror, so I might redo those, and actually trimmed them down to size after I had them attached. So now that I have a better size to work with, or I know what size I need, I may peel those off, lay them on a new piece, cut around them, and then attach the new piece. We'll see. I haven't really decided on that. Here's our manifold exhaust. I still have the actual exhaust system is only in primer. It's 2 pieces, so I still got to do my finish paint on those. The car body and the hood are in my dehydrator now, and I tell you what, hold on, I will show you something. Okay, so this is our car body in color. It also has 3 fairly wet coats of TS13 gloss clear on it. This is what did we go with? We went with the Cosmic Red, but then I oversprayed it with our Black Cherry Candy. So it's a little bit deeper now than it was. And I have not wet sanded it yet, so the finish on the top is a little bit rough, and I'm not positive that isn't the metal flake around the surface, so I'm a little bit hesitant to start the wet sanding now. I may still put yet more clear coat over the top of it and see what I can do about that. I like the color. I really like the color. And then I had a boo-boo, so I was putting on one of the layers of clear coat, and I always wear a surgical glove on my left hand since I'm right-handed, so I'm holding the airbrush with my right hand and holding the model with the left. And then when I went to put it in the dehydrator, I have it on this stand, obviously, and I'm holding it with my left hand, and I reach in, and my dehydrator is about waist level on the shelf that it sits on. And when I pulled my hand back out, I felt the glove touch the bottom edge of the car. Well, I thought it was the bottom edge of the car. I was hoping it was the bottom edge of the car. And there's a little bit of the interior masking tape that hangs just slightly below that edge. But it wasn't the lower edge. It wasn't the tape. It was actually the outer lower edge of the body. And you can see right here. So, I'm not going to respray that with the body color. What I'm going to do, and I think I'm going to use the whole width of this trim line from here down, ahead and behind the wheel wells. Maybe a flat black stripe or a semi-gloss stripe, because I also have the hood I'm going to paint hood stripes on. And I haven't decided. I got to look at some other reference photos to see if those hood stripes actually go down the entire length of the car. I don't think they do. I think they're only on the hood. But when I figure that out, that's going to get done as well. So whatever color I use on the hood stripes, I will use both left and right sides of the car along that trim line. To hide that, but I think it'll help. I think it'll help with, color and tying everything together. I think that little bit of a black trim line at the bottom is actually going to look good with the hood stripes. I think it'll help pull everything together, really. And probably what I have not showed you. Now, I showed you the tires, or the wheels, rather. Well, maybe tires and wheels. But what I did not show you, and you might have figured it out when I showed you the wheels, but all of our typical chrome trim is done in this black chrome, and I think that's really going to look good on this car. So the black chrome, semi-gloss black, probably hood stripes, and then that lower trim level. Yeah, we're just about there. I'm so close to doing final assembly on it, I can hardly stand it. But saying we're so close, I still really have a lot left to do. And the next thing I'm getting ready to do, I'll show you. Hang on. So we've got our clear glass, our windshield, rear window, the quarter vent windows, and then of course our side marker lights, headlights, dome light. And this is really going to negate a lot of the work I did on the interior, but I'm going to take the back glass and we're going to tint it like a dark limo tint, but I'm going to use Tamiya Smoke. They're clear, kind of gray. They call it smoke. And as you build up the layers, it builds up the opacity of it. But before I do that, I thought, Chevy for a long time, well, I guess they still do, really. One of their advertising campaigns was, the heartbeat of America, and the Chevy, and you had the heartbeat and a bow tie. And I thought, well, that'd be kind of cool if I used a red paint to do the heartbeat, the bow tie, and then another heartbeat on the back glass. So I found a photo of that particular decal sticker, bumper sticker really, I guess, on the internet. It's roughly the size I'm looking for. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay down some wide Tamiya tape. Then I will tape this down onto the non-sticky side of the Tamiya tape. So the top side, I'll use a clear cellophane to tape that down. And I'll put that tape either on this mat or my green mat, which isn't quite as dirty as this one. And then I will trace out our line and our bow tie, and then I can take those pieces of the tape and lay them back down on my glass, but on the interior side. So we'll have it all masked except for the heartbeat and the bow tie, and it'll probably just be that much of it. You know, this printing is a little bit big, so I'll have to. And of course, oh, now that I think about it, you know what? I may have to reprint this because I need that done in reverse. All right, so we're going to place it on the inside of our back glass. So that really needs to be in reverse. Otherwise, our bow tie and our heartbeat are going to be backwards when you're viewing it from the outside. So I'm going to have to go reprint this, but that's what we're going to do. I think it'll look cool. I hope. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm creating my own window mask. And I've laid out the Tamiya masking tape. There's 3 18mm pieces of Tamiya that overlap a little bit there and there. My photo, my printed copy of the photo that I have reversed, you can see that the bow tie looks backwards here, is taped over the Tamiya tape using just some clear packing tape. And you can see it's going to fill our entire rear window, right? So the only thing I really need to focus on is centering, you know, my bow tie in the middle of it. But what I'll do is I'll put a brand new X-Acto blade in, and I will trace this heartbeat on either side of that line so that we get that thickness. And basically it'll give me a lower and an upper paint mask half. And then I will cut out the center of the bow tie, and we'll have to carefully place that into the large opening because we're going to cut away the thickness of the bow tie. That's going to be our open area for our paint to lay down. So the heartbeat and the border of the bow tie will be done in red paint. All right, makes sense? I think so. When I get it cut out and placed on the window glass, I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right. So there we have it. That's what we cut out. There's our mask on the window. Now remember, this is the inside of the glass. So from the outside, this would look proper. Now I've put masking tape on the outside of the glass too, because when I spray this, I don't want to accidentally get any overspray on the exterior side of the glass. All right, so I'll take some red and I'll probably build it up in some light layers so that we don't bleed under our tape. All right, make sure it's all burnished down nice and tight. And we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like after we've added the paint. And here's our Chevy Heartbeat window sticker. I think that turned out pretty good. I don't know if it's quite as dark as I really want it. I could still mask off that front side and spray more of the smoke on it. I think maybe I could go darker, but then again, against a dark interior, that's probably not going to look too bad. So we may just stick with that. Let's see, let's bring this back over. Yeah, you know, against a dark background, that might be dark enough. But that turned out pretty good, I think. And because it's on the inside, you know, it doesn't affect the finish of our glass at all. So here's our finished washer fluid reservoir. And what I did, I used Tamiya Clear Blue, which offhand I don't recall what the number of that is. It's an X something. Anyway, so masked off the upper portion of the reservoir, and just exposed the lower portion so I could get the blue in there. And then once the blue was dry, took off the upper masking to expose the entire reservoir. And then I mixed up a little bit of white X2 from Tamiya and a little bit of desert yellow XF59. And then I over thinned it. So I normally do a 50-50 mix of paint and thinner. In this case, it was probably 1 part thinner to 5 or 6, 1 part paint to 5 or 6 parts of thinner, and sprayed that on just to give it a bit of a dirty, yellowed, white plastic look. So I think it turned out pretty good. Hopefully that's showing up in focus. And then just painted the cap with some Tamiya flat yellow. I think that is XF3. But I think it gives that look. You can see kind of there on the corner perhaps how it's a little bit more yellowed right there on the corner of the reservoir. I think adding that little bit of yellow to the white really makes that effect work. And another one of those things I have yet to complete are my radiator hoses. They're in primer here, and the only reason I really haven't painted them yet is because I want to use some Detail Masters braided hose line, and I've got it, and I've got the fittings. I just gotta find the time to do it, and I've never used it before. I've been wanting to. I wanted to use it on my USAC build and didn't have the right fittings at the time. I have those now, and I've been looking for some tutorials on how best to work with that stuff. So I've seen a couple, so I think I've got it figured out. But if y'all know of some other modelers who've posted some video links on how to use that braided line, please shout out to me and let me know where I can find that. And maybe I'll make my own tutorial in the end. So that brings us up to date with where I am currently on this street machine. Like I said, it's all the little stuff, and it just, everything takes time, and I just haven't had a lot of time lately to get those things done. I get, if I'm lucky, I get 3 hours in the evenings after work where I can mess around up here. My weekends have been busy with other things, and last night after work I had to mow my yard. So yeah, I'm trying to get it done. I got one thing to show you though, and maybe some of you have seen this. If you're subscribed to Iceman Collections, and he sends out an email newsletter, I think once a month maybe. Anyway, he started doing some custom license plate tags, and I thought that was pretty cool. I thought, yeah, man, let me try to get some of those. So, is that gonna focus? Let me see if I can. There we go. There we go. So this one right here, I've got 2 of each. Red rum, murder spelled backwards. So that's kind of the theme of my street machine. So it's kind of got that murdered look. It's not black, but it's a dark red, and then the black chrome and the tinted windows. So I think that fits for that. But you can see some of the others cruising. I'm an Air Force veteran, so U.S. Air Force vet, loner, wanderer, rock and roll, shaggin', party on. So these last 2, I think those are probably going to end up on a van, a shaggin' wagon, party van. We'll see. But yeah, if you haven't seen these yet, check out Iceman Collections. I am not sponsored by Iceman. I'm not sponsored by any of the people that I show their stuff here. But I think I paid $20 including shipping for these, and he got them to me, gosh, it might have been a week, maybe, I don't know. But I think he's got every state, and they're current plates. I don't think he's got any of the vintage stuff. But whatever state you're in, check it out. I think it's pretty good. That is the standard Alabama plate. So, all right. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this week. Y'all take care. If you're in the south right now where it's really, really dangerously hot and we're about to get a tropical system moving in here that we really hope doesn't turn into anything serious, take care of yourselves. Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. Stay away from the sodas and the coffees and, unfortunately, some of the beers. But anyway, stay safe. Peace and love.